This video is sponsored by Webull, the trading platform. Right now, take advantage of their best deal ever offered by signing up using my referral link below. You will get 2 free stocks, and then everyone you refer, you'll get 4 free stocks. Each stock, by the way, is worth at least $7. Some are worth over $1,000. So sign up today. What's up, you guys? Welcome back to the Ikhanic Show. It's your host, Inam Khan. Alright guys, so today's video is a treat. Sara Khan, CEO of Sara Khan Event Styling and one of the contestants on HBO Max's Full Bloom, was kind enough to allow me to interview her about her entrepreneurial journey. And I figured, as folks that are into personal finance and investing, entrepreneurship is definitely something that would interest all of you. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. There's a lot of great tips in there. So make sure you like and subscribe and enjoy the interview. Without any further ado, Sara, would you give us a quick 2-minute overview?
Goodness, elevator pitch. So we are an event design and floral company. We do floral design, basically the overall aesthetic. So clients will come to me and my main question to them is, how do you want it to feel when you walk into a room? And based on the words that they use for the feelings and emotions they want to feel when they walk in, I create an entire visual experience for that.
Wow. All right.
Well, my team and I.
Yeah, I guess my big question is, and I'm sure a lot of people wonder this as well, is
I'm a visual architect.
Oh, that's a good way to put it. How did you get into this? That's probably my biggest question. When did it happen? How did it happen? Describe that.
How did I get into this? I got my degree in financial economics, actually an economist by education. I got my bachelor's of science in financial economics with a minor in international trade and accounting. And I loved it. So it's not like I wanted to get away from it. I loved it. But when I graduated from undergrad, I wanted to go to law school. And at that time, the law market was really bad. So I was just thinking, you know, I always have not liked rules.
I'm the same way.
Yeah, I've never liked rules. I've never liked having to work within a fence or confines, and I didn't like that in a 9-to-5 someone else determines whether or not I make more money, and someone else determines whether or not I could move up. So you know, I've always I think once I started working in the corporate world, which was in undergrad, I started realizing that more and more. And I always somehow figured out how to make money real quick. So in undergrad, my mommy and papa didn't want me to work. They're like, no, you should just focus on your parai and go to medical school, become a doctor. So I was like, all right, cool. But I wanted to work because I wanted to dress well. It was for the fashion. So obviously, and I wasn't gonna tell my parents I need a couple $100 every time I went to the mall. And I wanted to make my own money. And so I had a lot of side hustles in undergrad. And one of them was I used to write papers for the master's and PhD students. Oh, wow. I used to charge them $10, $20 a page. And their papers were always long. So I did that. I used to do Mehndi on the side. It was like $600 in like 3 hours. For a college kid, you're rich. So I would do like 2-3 brides in between classes on like the Thursday to Sunday. And then I used to buy and sell luxury items on eBay. eBay was like a thing in undergrad for me. So I would buy like a Burberry bag and wait till the last minute to bid on it, get a really good price. And then I would sell it and make like $400 to $1,000 on it. So
hustle's always been there. I feel like this is a recurring pattern with a lot of people that are into entrepreneurship. One thing I've always noticed is they don't like rules, and it's not even that. It's like they like challenging the rules. I feel like a lot of times.
Yeah.
And then
there's no such thing as rules in them. Actually,
I have a hoodie that says rules are meant to be broken. That I love that.
And the thing is, there is no such thing as rules. It depends on who you talk to. You can go anywhere and there could be a rule for something. Depending on how much they like you, they'll let you bend it. Always. On how much they like you, or if there's a common interest. There's really no rules. It's just the situation. But the point of all of that was I had a dichotomy where I was working at a bank during undergrad, but I was also side hustling all this stuff, which I don't know why I was doing that because I was making money everywhere, but there was no reason I needed to do that. I just did it. But I realized that making money working at the bank came with so many more strings. I had to be there at a certain time. I had to work within the rules and the confines of what they wanted. And I had to like hit certain goals. I used to work 20 hours a week, and my commissions used to exceed everyone who worked 40 to 50 hours a week. And I worked 15 to 20 hours a week. But that came with strings attached, whereas all my side hustles didn't. I could do them when I wanted to, made great money. And I just found a way to make money. So I think that was my first taste of, I don't want to work for somebody.
You got bit by the bug.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah. So one of the things, another pattern that I've noticed a lot, I think, okay, first of all, for successful entrepreneurs, failure is actually very important. I feel like you've tried so many different hustles. I'm sure you must have failed somewhere, and I'll ask you about that in a little bit. And the other thing that I've noticed time and time again is sales is very important for every entrepreneur. I think at the end of the day, everything comes down to a sale. What do you think? What do you think is one of the biggest skills as an entrepreneur that helps them become successful? What do you think helped you become successful?
Not caring whether or not someone thinks you're a loser.
Mm-hmm.
Not caring about other people's opinion of you. Because the negative opinion of others is not what's going to shape and build your success. It's the people who vibe and understand your mentality that you want coming to you anyway. And you want those people buying from you. And those are the only people who are going to buy from you. So if you're not authentically being yourself and providing a service or product that is authentic to what you believe and stand for, you're not going to get that client anyway. And people see right through inauthenticity, you know? So I think that's the heart of being an entrepreneur. You have to not care about other people's opinions. It's all about you and what you believe in. And you just put on blinders and tunnel vision and you go. And you keep going. And it doesn't matter. I just like rules. I don't believe in like failure, which is weird because like I do get mad if I fail at something, but it's not. It's just a lesson and it's a redirection.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it. Failures, I mean, at the end of the day, they're lessons, right? I think the biggest failure I think a failure in my eyes is if there's something you want to do and you don't do it because you're scared of what other people will say.
Right? And it goes back to that.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, back to the topic. I guess I kind of sidelined the conversation, but how'd you get into the floral business and the wedding business?
When I was applying to law schools, and at that time, a lot of people weren't getting actual jobs coming out of law school, I did get a little scared. And I was thinking, I was like, well, if I do law, or so at that time, my options were finance, law, or nothing really. I didn't know that I was like brave enough to start my own anything. But at that time, I was getting married. And there weren't many other decor companies that I came across. And then I saw that there was basically a gap in the market. And I wanted to do something with clothing and fashion design. And I wanted to maybe have my own label. So I started like sewing and doing things. And then I looked at, and I think this is probably where like my finance and econ background came in. I kind of looked at the market and I was like, well, who would my competition be? Where would I want to display my clothes? How would I want to do this? So when I started looking at all of that, I realized more and more that fashion is very saturated, very, very saturated.
You go to one Ikhna, you'll see that.
Well, the thing is, at that time, hijabi tutorial influencer bloggers were like, I didn't want to be specific to the Muslim community. I wanted it to be overall, right? Because I felt like fashion is a very volume business. Like your margins are so much smaller on an individual garment, especially if you're starting out and you have like a factory making it for you and your cost is low. If you're making individual pieces, like nobody advertised on Instagram, nobody advertised on Facebook. So anyway, I was looking at all that and I was just like, it is really saturated and I'm going to fight and fight and fight to try to keep coming up. And I don't know if it's worth that fight for me, if I care that much about it. I love fashion, but like, it wasn't it for me.
Mhm.
And then I thought about decor, and I was like, I've always liked making and building things. I think I have good taste. I've been told I have good taste. So then I thought I basically have little to no competition in this area.
Mhm.
I could potentially start something. And when it comes to weddings, so when I was in undergrad, that's when the recession was happening
Mhm.
and housing crisis was happening
Oh,
and businesses were crying. And so having been through that, I thought to myself, weddings is something, no matter what happens, people will always get married. It is the largest party you will ever throw in your life.
uh-huh.
Is it not?
Yeah, no, recession.
Biggest party you'll ever throw in your life. You're never going to spend the amount of money you did on your wedding unless you get really, really, really wealthy after you get married.
Mhm.
Three big investments in your life, four actually, probably your education, your car, your house, and your wedding. So if
Mhm.
I could do weddings, I have little to no competition. The first thing I did was I looked up, I mean, and again, I did it for friends. And that doesn't mean you should go start your own business.
Yeah. No, you
But
started it, you started it after you got married. For some reason, I was thinking you had it going before that as well. Okay.
no, I just always liked making things and building things. People had said to me, was like, wow, you bought all this stuff for your wedding. You should start a business. Don't do that. Just because you bought things, don't do that. You
Yeah.
don't know what it takes to start a business or have a business. Oh God. Um, but yeah, that was a portion. I mean, I'm not married now, but that was the start of it where I was like, there's a need for it in the market.
Mhm.
There's an open, wide situation waiting for someone to take it. Why not me? Why not me? So I
Yeah.
did.
Wow. That's good. And I think one of the biggest things, again, another thing I see all the time is people, entrepreneurs generally, when they get an idea, they just there's no paralysis by analysis. If they think it's a good idea, they just start going with it. A lot of people, I feel
The
like,
only
are
way to
kind of
do
like,
it.
yeah, because you're not gonna get it perfect anyways. You got to go with the flow.
Never.
So, how was the first year when you started out? How many clients did you get? And were you focused in the Muslim market specifically, or like everyone?
So I didn't start actually posting photos of myself alongside my business until like maybe a few years ago,
Mhm.
because I didn't want people to pigeonhole me, or also not book me because I don't know, I was Muslim or I
Yeah,
was
look,
this or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, I wanted just to make beautiful things and make beautiful environments for people. Um, and I've always been like a very artsy person. I've always liked, again, making things. So for me, really, it was a dream job because someone else is giving me their money to do my dream wedding every weekend. I really care about what I do and I'm really passionate about what I do. And what better opportunity and situation than to be able to create something that I love so much for somebody else, for their wedding. It's a win-win for everyone. So my first year, again, like at that time, people were posting like really grainy photos of their food and like a hike on Instagram.
Uh,
There was no such thing as stories. There's no such thing as advertisement. So like on my Instagram and my personal Facebook, I would post like, hey, I just got this thing. It would look beautiful for a centerpiece. And then I grabbed wedding china that I got as a gift for my wedding. And I would go to the backyard at my in-laws' basement and set up a table, put down a linen. I would go to the grocery store, grab some flowers, and I would go to TJ Maxx and grab like a bunch of vases and candle holders that I thought looked good together, set it all up on a table and be like, hey, this would be a great tablescape for a spring wedding. I use these kind of flowers, this kind of material vase, this color linen because they complement each other. And I would explain everything and of why I did it, what it was and why I did it. And then I would post a picture of it with the caption. I did that for maybe um 2, 3 months, and then I got my first client. And it
wow.
was just through friends or people who were like seeing the stuff that I was posting. They're like, oh my God, I love that. Never seen a Desi wedding with that. Never saw a Desi wedding with this or whatever. But I think yeah, that's how I started.
Hmm.
Well, actually, I started from a style photo shoot. But in my first year, that's how I got my first client.
How much? Okay, how much is your first client? How much did you charge your first client? Do you
My
remember that?
first client was $800.
Wow. Dang. And man, there's so many questions. Yeah, one of the things again
Ask
I'm noticing is that most people, I feel like entrepreneurs, they're usually very analytical when it comes to the business sense. Not many are creative, and you kind of got the rare combo of being creative and analytical. So I think that definitely helped in the success. And again, the sales experience, just catching clients, that's the tough part. That's the tough
I
part.
think more than undergrad, the most valuable experience
Oh, that's a good question.
my life was working at a bank in the credit card division in collections.
Collection. So why do you say that? Is it the sales experience, customer service, or both?
So when I first started, I was just in customer service. So if you ever lost your card or fraudulent activity, whatever you call, I would be the one who answered the phone, fix your problem. And then my job was to sell you a product after that. So convince you to do a mortgage refinance, convince you to get a line of credit. Huh?
Like an upsell, kind of like an upsell.
Yeah, an upsell. So, and that's where I got my commissions from. So, and my closing rate, which was like how often I did it, was like usually about 40%, which was like after the summer, I was like, yeah, I gotta quit now because I gotta go back to school. They're like, you said you were going back to school. I was like, yeah, well, I lied. I was like, I need to go back to school. And they're like, no, you're gonna work. If you want to work 10 hours a week, we don't care. Work 10 hours a week. You pick your schedule, pick your days. They were like, you're not leaving. In 90 seconds, you had to fix their problem and sell them a product. Wow. In 90 seconds. I'm talking, these are like all sorts of people who talk a lot, who don't stop talking. Like it just, so the skill and art of learning how to dissect and understand what somebody wants very quickly through very few short, concise questions, fixing their problem and directing them where I want them to go. That was a very valuable thing that I learned. And I got so much freaking practice because I talked to 100 people a day. 100 times a day, I got to practice how to do that perfectly and quickly and succinct. So that was one lesson. Then the second lesson was once the economy crashed, they turned our entire building into collections. And then they put me on a special task force that had to speak to all the upset clients.
That taught you patience. I'm sure.
Well, no, it taught me, one, as a company, what should you be doing to ensure that the client never gets to the point that they freak out on you like that? Unfortunately, I was the messenger who kept having to get shot. So how do you diffuse someone who's a customer very quickly? How do you get them to understand that you want to be able to help them, even though you work for the evil eye that is doing this to them? And how do you get them off the phone in a good mood and still sell them the product? So that was absolutely invaluable. And at that time in my life, I had no idea that it was going to be preparing me for what I do now. But those were the two biggest things. And that is not something you learn in school. That is something you learn in life.
Yeah, on the job.
Yeah, on the job. And those are the two most important things that I got.
No, that's gold, man. That's really good advice. So, so you started off when you started this event styling business. When did you realize that you're onto something special? Was there like a specific client, like a huge client you received, or I don't know, maybe some big compliment? When did you realize that you're onto something? Was there a moment, or was it just like a gradual incline over time?
It's definitely gradual, but there's several moments every year. Alhamdulillah, like. Well, the first indicator was every year that goes by, our gross would like double until it didn't. It didn't double. It would increase by like 30-40%. So what our first year, our gross was like 30,000. And our second year, our gross.
First year, that's actually really good. That's really good. Wow.
I guess.
For your first year, your first client was like 800, right? So that's like 30-40 clients in your first year, which is for a wedding.
It wasn't 30-40 clients. It was that like, it was, some were a little bit more, some were a little bit less, So anyway, but first year was like 30, second year was 70, third year was 142, fourth year was 160. And the fourth year in, between the third and fourth, was when I got pregnant with my son, who's 6 now. And I was really sick for like 8 to 9 months. I was shocked that we made as much as we did last year, plus another like 20K. And then after that,
Oh, so that year where you made 160, it's while you were sick and having a baby and everything.
yeah,
Wow.
like didn't work. That was the year that I got a warehouse. I got my first shipment from India, and I hired my first full-time employee.
Mm-hmm.
So there were a lot of like internal business changes. And again, like that wasn't money I made. That was money that the company grossed.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but yeah, I forget what the question.
So what year are you in now? Not,
9.
oh, nine. Okay, mashallah. So okay, so let's go over the HBO process. How did that happen? How did that work out? Did they reach out to
Um,
you? Did you have to apply? How did that happen?
okay, so a couple of people actually sent me the casting call for it.
Hmm.
And they're like, hey, you need to apply to this thing. And I was like, I don't want to be on TV. We've done a lot of TV stints. We did the season finale for The Real Housewives of Potomac. We had a wedding covered by Nat Geo. We've done flowers for President Obama when he came to the masjid in Baltimore, which is pretty cool. But like press was there and like all these like some athletes were there. It was really cool. We've done a lot of cool big name stuff, but I just I didn't care to be on TV, especially on like a reality TV show.
Drama.
But yeah, but like 3 different people sent it to me, 3 completely individual, unique people that didn't even know each other sent it to me, and I thought this is a sign. I take things as a sign. I take a lot of things as signs. So I was like, let me watch this show. Let me see if it's like a weird bogus show or if it's like legit. And I was very pleasantly surprised. It was a very skill and merit-based show. So I was like, okay. So I filled out the application, and then within a couple days or a week, they called me and they did my first interview. And then they scheduled a second interview. And then the CEO of like the production company called me and was like, we're in love with you. We want to have you on. But the awesome thing was they were like, we also love your background and your story. Like you're so different, you're so unique, and it's not something that people see. So that made me really happy. That was actually one of the only reasons why I was willing to do it. I was like, I have to get over myself not wanting to be on TV, because growing up, I never saw a Muslim girl wearing hijab or just a Muslim girl or even a Desi girl on anything. Like we're just barely seeing a sprinkle of it now. Barely.
It's starting to open up now, yeah.
Very, very, very little bit. But I feel like we got to kind of help each other out when it comes to that. So I applied, did all the interview processes, and then they called me. They're like, all right, you're going to get on a plane. We bought your ticket. You're leaving in 4 days. And I was like, what?
4 days? Oh my God. Wait, so how long did the interview process take from the moment you applied to the moment they sent you the ticket?
The process started in November. And I was in LA in March.
Okay.
March 2nd.
Not bad, like 3-4 months. Wow. And how long does, okay, just because like none of us have been on TV for like a whole season, how long does the taping take, and then when does the show air? Like, how does that whole process work?
Well, you don't know if I was on there the whole season. There's still 2 more episodes left. But so you're saying how long does the process take to film the whole thing?
Yeah, like filming, and then like, so after you filmed, when did the show air? Was it like a whole year process, or how long?
No, so this was literally this March. So in March I was
this year?
Yeah, so usually I don't think it's usually that quick. Sometimes it'll happen like a year later, I think. Sometimes it could be a couple years before they air it. But I think maybe because of COVID, production companies are cranking out material quicker because people are consuming the content.
Yeah.
Econ. But I was in LA in like the first week of March, and then we wrapped first week of April. The show wrapped first week of April.
All right. Okay. Wow. So then like 2-3 months later, that's when
they aired June 10th.
Okay. Let me just see if I'm missing anything. I think this was a pretty good conversation. Yeah. All right. Yeah, I think Sadawari, thank you so much. I think we got through everything except, okay, I'm going to ask you one question. Were there any failures that stand out? At any moment, did you really feel like you wanted to just give up everything and just end it?
Yeah, so many times. And I
What
was
moment
talking
sticks out the most to you? Like, what was the moment you're like, okay, I'm done with this? Was that the beginning of the? I'm sure it was more towards the beginning of the whole of the whole.
no,
No?
a few years ago, like every every October, I
October.
get into this like October, November, man. I get into this like weird place where I'm just like, I'm so exhausted and drained. That's like the burnout time for industry people, for us, because you just went through like 5 months of back to back to back to back to back to back to back events. Like this coming weekend, I have 16 events in one weekend.
What?
Uh,
How do you manage that?
a lot of
You
people.
need to be there for every event, or you got
No,
to see that.
I go to a few after I had my son. It's not possible for me to be at everyone. And to be honest, it's not really good management if you physically, as the owner of the company, have to be there at every single
Of
one.
course, because you're
That
like
means that
bottom.
you haven't trained your employees well enough to have conviction to be able to take pride in their work and be able to do what they do independently. You know, it gives them a sense of pride as well, and I think for the company as well. And I think your clients should be confident in anyone who works for the company, not just the owner. So, but yeah, basically every October, November, when I would get like just really burnt out and exhausted, I just realized that I'm just working harder and not smarter. I need to develop standard operating procedures. I need to develop like rules and confines and regulations for the people who do work for me, so that way they have parameters to work within. And I need to like the investment in having one more person work, whatever their salary amount is, the value of that should be 4 or 5 times
That's a
in
good.
dollars.
Yeah.
And so if that person is not providing that value, it is either the wrong person or that position is the wrong position, where it is not giving enough value to your company. And I think once I started looking at things that way and getting a better grip on how to calculate finances, how to have better profit margins on every contract, how to control costs, how to control variable costs, once I started digging and doing that work, then I got less and less of that feeling of, I don't want to do this anymore. And I think what's difficult about our industry is that there's no rule book. There's no guideline. You can go to dental school, you can go to medical school,
Yeah.
you can get your MBA. There are guidelines. There is no guideline for
Like if
what.
anything, you are the guideline. You are developing the guideline, and people are gonna be looking up to you guys. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm actually filming a course with a company. A company had approached me to do like a whole
Yeah.
master. So we're going to be filming that in August, and it'll be launching in fall. Basically, what I wish I had. But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're feel free to plug anything you want. Or is there? I mean, plug the show, your Instagram, whatever.
yeah. You guys should watch Full Bloom. It's on HBO Max, season 2, and it's really a fun watch. It's really, really a fun watch. It's think Top Chef, except for flowers. It's not just us throwing flowers in a vase, where they give us like really crazy challenges and we have to make some really cool things. So it's definitely a family show. You can watch it with your family. You can watch it with kids. My son loves it. He's 6. I absolutely loves it. And he gets very tense if he thinks his mom's not going to win. But I mainly did it because I wanted to have some visibility for Desi girls, Muslim girls, like just colored people in general, because we don't really see as much in an art space. And a lot of our parents are like, get a professional job, become a doctor, something that's like safe. And I think it's because, you know, they came to this country, they took risks, but now they have to get ready for us to take those risks. I think my family does take me seriously now, though.
No. Okay, we'll end with these things. Do you have any tips for aspiring entrepreneurs?
Yeah, you have to do the work. No one's going to do it for you. Nobody's going to do it for you. You can always, before you decide to indulge in the work smarter, not harder, you have to work harder first and realize that you're not working smarter. If you're looking for the smarter way to work in the first place and you're looking for shortcuts before you do the work, never going to get anywhere because you didn't do the work. And just like you said earlier, failure is very important. I read something that said, fail faster, fail harder to succeed. And it's very true, because the things that didn't work out for me are the things that taught me to position myself for success in all the situations in my business, whether it comes to dealing with clients, balancing personal life and business, whatever it is. But for budding entrepreneurs, you have to do the work. And if you don't do the work, nobody's going to do it for you, and you're not going to get what you want. It's just math.
Yeah, no, I actually heard this the other day, and it was like, wow. So I think the guy said, failure is a cheap price to pay for success, because every successful person failed once or
Cheap
twice.
price. That's a very good way of putting it.
Yeah. So failure, I mean, at the end of the day, failure is free. It hurts your ego sometimes, maybe a little bit, but at the end of the day, it's a free price to pay for success.
You're going to get to a place where it doesn't hurt your ego. That's when you know that you're a real entrepreneur. Get to a place where it doesn't hurt your ego.
All right, Sada. Thank you so much. I think that was an awesome interview. Oh yeah, guys. So follow Sada Khan Event Styling on Instagram, Facebook, all the social medias. Watch Full Bloom Season 2. And I think that's it.